We are blessed to have good friend of the show, Chris Clipper, on Mama We Made It with DJ and Reg, talking about purpose, legacy, a little bit of his top 5 lists across a variety of fronts, and how he would think about giving advice to the generation behind us. Please join us for an interesting conversation.
One of the things that Reg and I spend a lot of time talking about is not being captivated by the cover of the book. You never know what somebody's going through on the inside, man. And even though I think even the three of us do a great job of giving the appearance of cool, calm, and collected, there are times, man, where pressure just hits us. So not only are you extremely accomplished from a professional perspective, and we should add golf into that as well, but man, you have a beautiful family. And you lead there as well. So my question would be, when you feel those pressures, man, or feel that angst, what do you do to quell
that? It's interesting. As I was looking at the Human Flourishing Wheel framework, one of the questions is similarly phrased, right? Is when are you at peace, or when do you
your natural high?
Our natural high, that's what it was. When do you get your natural high? I think it's in two spaces primarily. One, it's spending time with my family, with my boys. And that sounds obvious, but when I started out my investment banking career, I never could even imagine having a family, working 100 hours a week. When I started my family and I was at Nike and my commute was 5 minutes from the office, my kids were young. I saw my kids on the weekend. They were never awake. I left before they were awake and they were in bed by the time I got home.
Wow.
And so I wasn't present. And what was interesting, when I made the transition back to the West Coast, my family stayed, back to the East Coast, my family stayed on the West Coast for a year. And life goes on when dad's not around.
Wow.
And that hit me hard, right? Because my boys were young, but they were still growing. They'd be 6 inches tall. The next time I saw them, a ton of things had happened. And so for me, just being present, I realized gave me a lot of joy. And I think spending time with them and traveling is probably when I feel my absolute best, right? And I think a close number 2 is playing golf with brothers that I admire and gel with, right? We're of like minds. Those are probably the 2 moments where I feel at peace. And if I could do those 2 things all day, every day, life is good.
I love it. What happens when you get pushed off your square? Like, we've had a couple of mental health specific conversations of late, both the red flags in our life are like, yo, I'm running hot here, but also some life hacks around how do we solve for it. Are you clear on when you're off your square and what do you do to get back?
I'll be very honest, I'm not clear when I'm off my square. But I have a partner, an amazing partner, who lets me know very quickly.
Shout out Jay.
When I'm not on center. There's a quick, hey, get it right? Get right. Whatever you need to do, if you need space, if you need time, get right. Because what's happening now in the dynamic with this family and this unit is not working, and you're the problem. And so oftentimes, that's where it comes from. My mother is still living. She also has no problems in checking me. And to this day, actually this morning, will still check me. Today's my birthday. I'm not sure if you guys knew that.
What?
Yes, it is my birthday. Brother. So my mother calls me at 6 a.m. to let me know she's still watching, right? And if everything is straight. But, when I am off center, I think the best thing to do is talk to those who know me the longest. And that's what I go back to. My challenge is, as I've gotten older, I've lost some of those really close friends. I lost the best man at my wedding when he was 40. I lost another good friend when he was 45, right? So I lost some kids early on, but that's where I go to is back to folks who knew me before even before family, and that usually gets me right.
So, Clip, man, when you think about your educational journey, it's substantial, man. I mean, two really reputable universities. When you enter into a room, obviously knowing your academic past, what does that do for you, man? Do you feel like, is that something you think about deliberately, or has that become something that you just embody now when you walk into a room?
I think I think it's something that's inherent in me and how I roll. But it's a quiet confidence that I have, right? That I have been in environments, in rooms with some of the smartest people on the planet. I went to Stanford B School with, the founder of eBay, Jeff Skoll. These are some really creative, smart folks, and learned in the same, from the same professors, et cetera. And so there is a quiet confidence that comes from that. But, beyond that, I think, school, I think the more senior you get, the longer your career goes on, the less you think about school, the more it becomes about experience, and what you bring to the what have you accomplished professionally. And so for me, it's continuing to lean on my first experience, whether it be at Bankers Trust, I told you about that, or whether it be working as an investment banker. I mean, we all know how difficult that is. So you're not going to outwork me. Right. That for me, it was important to know that I could work 100 hours a week if I needed to. You're not going to outwork me. And oh, by the way, I think I'm just as smart as you are as well.
There you go.
And so there's a quiet confidence that comes with that. Again, I think that the toughest part is figuring out how to talk and figuring out how to move in those spaces, not say too much, but not say too little. That's probably, that's a lifelong journey, I think, in this space. But that's something that I find I still need to work on in terms of a leadership presence. But I have no doubt, I feel like I can walk into almost any CFO job, right? That's the good thing about being a CFO, right? It's an enabling function. And whether I'm the CFO for a jewelry company or a shoe manufacturer or a phone company, the role is fundamentally the same. And so for me, the difference becomes, is it a product or a brand that I like? Is it a product or brand that I can relate to? And then I think if you can relate to it and you use the product, then you really have a perspective as a consumer, not just an executive. And when you can think like a consumer, I think the floodgates open.
So first of all, happy birthday, bro! The quiet killer that you are. We had no idea when we had that this was going to be your born day, man. So happy birthday, first and foremost.
Brother.
Appreciate it.
You said a lot of interesting things. What you reference, best friends and some who you lost along the way as time goes on. And it makes us think about our mortality, right? And for both of us this year, we've been in a similar journey. And I wonder how you think about your legacy. Like, what is it at, this stage of the game? We'll call it somewhere early third quarter, right? Just for the sake of the government math.
Appreciate it.
All the experiences to now, as you talked about, what do you think your legacy is at this stage, and what do you want it to be, if you were the author of it on your own terms?
What I want my legacy to be is raising two strong, confident Black men. I think that's increasingly difficult to do, and I don't think that can be overstated in any way. And I got married late in life. I became a father a little later in life. So my kids are still young. One is just in high school now. It's his first year. The other's in 7th grade. And as I think about what is the world they're growing up in. I know my father took great pains to try to instill some of that in me and try to figure out how do you move and shake in this environment. And I think that, to me, aside from them being tax-paying citizens, I want them to be good men, good Black men. And that I think is my legacy, or I want that to be my legacy, or I think that's what it is today. Your question was a prospective one, right? Prospectively, how do you think about your legacy? And there, I honestly, if I wasn't in finance, I would be a teacher. That's what I would want to do. What I'm still trying to figure out is when I can make that move, and what's that age group that I want to impact? Is it the impressionable K through 6? Is it the high schoolers? Is it the middle school where things get really weird and wonky, right? But that, to me, again, I talked earlier about giving my time. That, I think, is probably my most valuable asset, and I want to find ways to give my time, to give back and to serve.
Wow, that's extremely noble, and that sort of gets into a little bit of a conversation around financial sustenance and security, man.
Mm-hmm.
It's nothing we ever want to spend a ton of time talking about or making it seem like this is about, capitalism. But at the same time, we have to make a living and we have to provide for our families and our people. So when you think about the role of financial security, Clip, what has that been able to do for you personally and professionally?
Having the financial security?
Because we know you got it, bro. So yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. I'm going to let that go. What it's meant for me is, and I'm gonna back up for a second, because I think there were moments when I was growing up where we had financial security and we didn't. Mm-hmm. Right? It was we're in and out of that space. But I mentioned my father being in the military, me being born in Germany. This man tried everything. It's why I learned to ski when I was 3 years old.
Wow.
My father's from Mount Vernon, never been on a pair of skis before he went to Germany. They had some time off and some guys took him to learn how to ski. My father was this, try everything, experiment with everything. You'll figure out what you love. More importantly, you figure out what you don't. And so when I think about what financial security means for me, it allows me to have experiences and create experiences for myself and my family that they otherwise would not have.
Yeah.
I'll give you a great example. My wife and I, we moved to Westchester, and we wanted to be in a district where they had great public schools. It was very important for us to send our kids to public school, even though I went to private school growing up. COVID happened. And not many schools, no schools were prepared for COVID. And Pelham schools were no different. But what really, I think, stuck with us was they weren't prepared in the second year, right? COVID happened. It started in March. You had the summer to get through it. And then it was like, okay, what's the plan of attack for September? Well, what we realized is there was no plan of attack. And our kids, there was a year where they just were not learning. They were sitting in their beds, holding their iPads up like this. And we're like, are you actually in school? And they were in class. And at that point, we realized we got to get them out or they're going to fall much further behind. And we've sent them to private schools. I was able to make that decision in a matter of weeks. That's what financial security does. But beyond that, I think it's allowed me to take my family to places they otherwise would never go. And so I think it's very important for them to see the world. It's very important for them to try things that they wouldn't otherwise try. And that's what financial security, I think, for me is meant, is it allows me to expose these folks to different places. It also allows me, frankly, I work for my family. Obviously I work because I'm interested in it. There's an intellectual curiosity about what I do. But I work for my family. Make no mistake, if I didn't have a family, I'd be doing something a little different. But I also work for a larger family. I have a big family, and there's financial, emotional, all sorts of support that I'm also providing them as well. So it just allows for things to breathe a little easier. If that makes sense.
It does. I love that.
Yeah. Question for you, because you and I are similar. My kids are older. My boys are older than your boys. And, the end of their journey ended up being a private school journey as well.
Mm-hmm.
How do you instill in your sons walk with kings nor lose the time and touch? Like this notion of little black kid lost in private school is a real thing. Like it is a real challenge to keep the young brothers and sisters culturally grounded and mindful of the economic gap between them and their peers, but not letting any cultural space grow there. How do you and your wife think about and approach that process?
Yeah, it's having them around our family as often as possible. Some folks do, whether it be Jack and Jill or other folks with other spaces where they can intentionally meet and be around other black kids who are experiencing the same thing they're experiencing. I think that's important, but that's not how we think about it. I think it's important that they're not just around other black kids who are in a similar economic situation, but those, frankly, who are not. So they spend a lot of time with my mom, who still lives uptown. They spend a lot of time with my wife's family, who lives, they're from Newark/East Orange. It's so important for us for them to know exactly where they come from, because look, they know that they're blessed, but to your point, Reg, they've gone to some friends' homes and they're like, the driveway was a half a mile long, to get to the house. And like, wow, like we thought we were doing great, but they're now realizing there are levels to this game, right? And so we have to shake them. We're in that space right now, Reg. We're in it right now. So it's an evolving, developing dynamic. But I think that's the only way we can keep them grounded is ensuring that they are around people that look like us. Maybe they're not in the same space, but I'll give you another great example. My son plays AAU basketball, and it was important for us to make sure that he's playing in different environments. And our town borders Mount Vernon. So we got my cousin has an AAU team in Mount Vernon. We're getting him on that and making sure that he's experiencing what it's like, not private school basketball, but, blacktop. That's not a foul, brother. Play
Check
harder.
up. Those are chains. Check up.
Play harder, motherfucker. Okay. That's what it is. That's not a foul.
Yes.
So yeah, that's. I think you got to keep them in and around. And I think, if you met both my boys, I think they're starting to be able to flow in different spaces, which for me is just phenomenal to see. And let's not forget about the car rides. Mom shuttles them to and from everywhere. What's played on the radio, is very key. Like my kids know Motown. My kids know, they know historical, classical R&B. They obviously know Kendrick and all these other cats today, but we're really particular and intentional about what we expose them to, what they watch, what they listen to. I think that's part of it. And then you got to be, a dog on a bone in terms of their, who they're associating with in and outside of school.
Yeah, Clip, you are obviously an extremely self-aware brother. My question to you is, sometimes, at least I find, that can be a bit paralyzing, at least for me, always being aware of things, right? But my question to you is, man, how much do you spend a significant amount of time in self-reflection?
Not as much as I should, but I will say it's been increasing.
Okay.
And the reason I say that is I've gone on these sort of news blackouts where I don't want to listen to the news. I can't take it. And for me, it's turned into meditation, working out. I try to stretch every morning and every evening. And that's typically where I do that self-reflection or engage in introspection. Like, how am I going to approach the day tomorrow? Like, how did I approach the day today? You know, how did I speak to my wife? How did I speak to my youngest son? You know, I used to, you know, now my sons are almost looking me in the eye, so it's a little more difficult, but I used to kneel down when talking to my sons because I never wanted to talk down to them, right? And it was always about how can I speak to them one-on-one and engage. So it's usually at the very beginning of the day and at the end of the day where I try to reserve a little bit of space, usually about 30 minutes. And it's usually during stretching or doing some calisthenics in the evening. But that's usually, it's trying to get into my own space and own head. And I found that to be cathartic on many, many levels.
We haven't asked you anything controversial yet, so let's turn the heat up a little bit. In no particular order, top 5 MCs.
Okay. Let's just start with they're all from the East Coast.
Okay. All right.
Sorry. Rakim.
Okay.
We said no particular order, right?
No particular order.
Okay. I'm going to put Jay-Z and Big in there.
Okay.
I'm going Papoose.
Oh.
And I'm going to go Cool G Rap.
Okay. The streets in New York. Okay. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Can I ask where Nas would fall?
He's number 6.
Okay.
It was tight. And I'll be honest, I think Nas has flows like nobody's business and probably a deeper catalog than most of those cats. But Cool G Rap for me coming up, there was nobody. I mean, that straight fire. Papoose has never gotten the accolades, the publicity. Listen to that brother Freestyle for a minute, and you know the skills are deep.
Yeah.
He drops bars like you would not believe. Rakim's the 18th letter, so I'm not even going to speak on Rakim. And then I'll give, Biggie and Jay, I like, it may not be the most dense lyrically, but I could listen to both those cats rap all day.
That's fair. I think your Papoose is probably my J Electronica.
I'll give you that. You and I have had this conversation too.
Yeah, we have. I get some heat for that, but I'm okay with it.
I'll give you that.
I'm okay with it. I'm going to stay in this zone. I like that question, Riz. That's awesome, man. Can you do the same from an R&B perspective, whether that's today's R&B or more old school?
Oh, yeah. I think I can. Let me think on this. Well, Marvin Gaye's on the list. You know what? I'll tell you. Sade, for me.
Okay.
Real soft spot in my heart for obvious and many reasons.
You're a wise man, sir. You're a wise man.
Understandable.
Okay. I'm not home. I ain't got my Sade sign behind me like I normally do.
Yeah. Have you seen her live clip?
I have 3 times.
Yeah, life changing.
Yes, sir. Stevie Wonder's on that list.
Okay.
I'm gonna go with the 70s Stevie. Some of the electric stuff towards the end didn't quite float my boat, but I'm gonna so Stevie and Marvin, Sade. I would have to give up props just because of all the music that I know has derived from him. I gotta go Curtis Mayfield.
Yeah.
And I'll be honest, I need to get deeper in his catalog, but just knowing how much he's influenced everyone else, by definition, he has to be on the list. And number 5, I know there's, I'm going to say Roberta Flack and Donny Hathaway. I'm going to put them in the same, because those are pure singers. The voices are heaven.
And I know Reds is gonna have a perspective here. I'm just gonna throw 2 out that I gotta ask you where they fall, bro. Because I didn't hear their names. Um, and your Curtis is my Leon Ware.
Ooh.
Right, kind of that understated writer, right.
Yep.
I did
Philly.
not. Yeah. I did not hear two groups that I gotta understand, man, where they might fall. I didn't hear Earth, Wind, and Fire.
You going EW? There's Elements.
And I didn't hear Isley Brothers. So just any commentary, man, while we still got.
You know what? And actually, if I think about it, I gave you all artists. I gave you singles. I didn't give you any groups.
Look at this. I see what you're about to do right now.
No, because you're right. You're right. Because I mean, come on. And by the way, I would throw the OJs in there too.
Yeah.
I think Levert, Walter Williams. I mean, Walter Williams is probably he's got one of the best voices. That brother's soul voice is just amazing. So they're on the list, man. I can't. It's hard to replace anyone on my individual list, but groups, without question.
Yeah.
And the Commodores would be on there too, by the way.
Yeah. Nothing like some old Commodores.
Say along, brother.
Zoom.
Hang on down the line with a little twang. Last one, and then we'll move to close shortly thereafter. As a former point guard yourself, or retired point guard yourself, who are your top 5 point guards?
Woo! Well, I see what you're doing there. Well, are we going in order or no particular order?
In no particular order, and this you can guess, so you can frame this however you want to.
Magic, Steph Curry, Isaiah Thomas. Those 3 are on my list.
Yeah.
And no question. Now I want to really think about this. You know what? I'm going old school, and I'm going back to New York. I'm going Brooklyn this time. I'm going Pearl Washington. What that brother could do was magical, and he didn't have bounce and athleticism like everybody else. He didn't even really have a jump shot.
Nope.
But he got to whatever spot he wanted to on the floor and could certainly finish at the rim. And then I think my favorite player to watch play in all of basketball, he just happens to be a point guard, although I think I'll throw him there, is Kyrie Irving. And y'all know that.
Yes. Fair. Gets a bad rap. Yep.
There's no one who plays the game better than that brother. I mean, there's no one who finishes below the rim better than Kyrie ever. And you know the handles are ridiculous. And let's be real clear. Let's keep it 100. LeBron and Cleveland would not have that chip if it weren't for Kyrie.
Correct.
So I'm going to leave it right there.
I'll piggyback Reg one more time, and then we can close. Best to ever do it in basketball.
Pardon me?
Best to ever do it in the game of basketball.
Michael Jordan.
Bet.
Although I will tell you who's been climbing my list, I can't let you go without just dropping this. I mean, I think Wilt is underrated, even though, for all the accolades. What Bill Russell did in Boston during the 60s as a player and as a coach, I almost can't imagine.
Correct.
I can't imagine it, honestly.
Legacy.
Yeah, the legacy. I mean, it's unbelievable what he did in the time in which he did it.
Yes.
In the city.
In the city he did it.
In which he did it. It's almost
horrible stories, man. Horrible.
Yeah, horrible. So much respect.
Indeed.
Great list.
Final question for you, bro. So
Yes.
you alluded to it earlier. There's a lot of change in the world, a lot going on in the world, a lot of ways that society is pulling at itself. We as a generation are slowly ceding ground to the generations behind us, and our time on the stage, is, creating space for their time on the stage. What do you have to say to the young folks behind us? What wisdom would you impart on them on how to navigate the times in which we live?
Yeah, what I would say is, and it's what worries me. It's why I think this notion of trying to raise to Black men is so important to me. Don't speak in stereotypes and tropes, right? Let's get specific when having a conversation, but let's have a conversation, one. Two, I think for all the advancements of technology, I worry that we're going to have kids who graduate who don't know how to tell time on a watch, who don't know how to write an essay and actually communicate. I think the written word is important. It's probably the first thing you should master even before the spoken word. And and if you can't write, you can't think clearly. And so what I would say is, try your best to have a perspective and engage with folks. I think too many people are behind screens, or having Chat GPT write things for them or take tests, and they're not learning how to think critically for themselves. Because as you get out into this world, obviously information comes from all different places. You have to figure out how to discern that. And if you don't have that ability to critically think, you'll be lost. And so, while I'm happy for the advancements of technology, I would tread lightly and make sure that you engage with people. Don't forget human interaction and how to communicate both verbally and on the written page.
That, ladies and gentlemen, is our brother and good friend, Christopher Clipper. This is Mama We Made It with DJ and Reg. That's still DJ. I'm still Reg. Thank you, brother, for joining us on your born day, man.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it. I'm going to go ahead and get the big piece of chicken tonight.
Bruh, I think you should get the whole chicken and perfect out what you want to share. We wish everybody well. Check us out on YouTube and on wherever you get your favorite podcast. Subscribe, rate us, like, drop a comment, let us know what you think. We're going to keep on building. Peace. Mama.